So, in this case, we need to look at what creativity is, because it exists as a potentiality. Wisdom traditions speak of, again, some kind of source, a realm from which, through which, and back to which everything that arises and manifests will return. This is the way they describe it. So everything comes from the eternal, it will return to the eternal, we are one with the eternal. And I would suggest that for most people this is conceptual. Very few people have an experience of that, is what I mean. A conceptual at best, and it's a lovely concept. However, how can we possibly bridge the gap between a concept that appears to be so whole, so full, so rounded, and within such a short sentence, just like when they ask, what is God? Oh, well, God is omnipotent, so it's all powerful, omnipresent, is everywhere, omniscient, therefore knows everything. Where is creativity in all this? So what part of that reality that we are told that A, God is, and B, that everything arises from the eternal, will return to it and is one with. So how do I access that, would the average person will ask, in a way such that I can feel that I have purpose, meaning, and direction, aims and objectives, and a sense of achievement in life?
Yes, this is a very important question. And most people's reality, when it consists of matter, sensing, is so very limited, because sensing gives us a very, very limited world which is virtually fixed. Although at the elementary particle level, quantum level, indeed things can change, and the quantum worldview tells us how that changes occur. But in truth, we don't live in that submicroscopic world. We live in the macro world of matter. In the macro world of matter, matter changes very little. It still have quantum effects, but we cannot really be creative in the quantum way in the world of matter. The important thing to recognize that the quantum worldview also applies to our mind, to the energies of vitality, life energies that we feel. So this creativity has to be brought about in the affairs of thinking and feeling. And when we do that, we discover that our highest thinking and highest feeling, feelings that we call noble feeling, like love and wholeness, and thinking that we likewise call creative thinking, they too involve these peculiar quantities that have guided human civilization for several millennia. Plato called these quantities archetype. I have already mentioned some of them: love, beauty, truth, justice, abundance, self. These are all archetypes that we intuit but don't quite know what they are, because we have to make representations of them. We have to understand them and feel them with our thinking facility, mind, and the feeling facility, which I call the vital energy body. So in this way, the creativity that we are looking for is mental creativity and vital creativity. Once we understand this, the next step is to think of the creative process. So what creativity does is take us from this ego level of processing to a higher level of processing, which will involve the unconscious. So how do you do that? In conscious experience, of course, we have a subject-object split. The ego looking at the objects of our experience. Even if we look at mental experience at the ego level, what will they consist of? Only the known, that's what the ego knows how to process. Ego consists of brain memory. That's basically the territory of the ego. So we have to recognize that we have to go beyond this territory of the ego. How do we do that? Unconscious has the old possibilities to process, but also the new possibilities to process, never before manifest possibilities to process. We have to learn how to allow the unconscious to go into processing the new, and then learn how to let go of the ego processing and make room for the unconscious processing. So in creativity, in the creative process, we call these 2 stages: preparation, where we do conscious processing, and then we surrender the conscious processing to an unconscious processing. And this requires a little bit of practice called meditation. So meditation is a fundamental aspect, and you notice that spiritual traditions, wisdom traditions always have given the same prescription, meditation. But science is allowing us to discover what meditation does. If you live with thoughts ordinarily and you watch them, you notice that you just think. A very quick succession of thinking is the way that people live. Meditation slows you down. So there is one thought, and then there is a gap, and then there is another thought. In that gap, even in your waking awareness, you are actually processing in the unconscious. This is the key of creativity. In the unconscious, especially when we clean up the unconscious a little bit, we clean up our preoccupation with the known, then in that unconscious, what will be processed are the unknown potentiality that also exists, but that is usually not accessed by us. Through the process of meditation, we make that access. We learn to access it. And as soon as you have learned to access unconscious processing as a new potentiality, then there is no stopping it. We can just go ahead and manifest all the new potentialities and live a very creative life. So what I'm literally telling you is just astounding. People have always thought of manifesting and daydreaming, wishful thinking, and they always also have tried to be good, to love, to be fair. All these things are in the human condition. They're built into it. People do look for meaning and purpose. Even today, we are not satisfied. Somebody took a survey and found that at least 20 to 25% of people in some countries, they are very, very curious about their new potentialities and being creative. And this is what began the human potential movement back in the 60s and 70s all over the world. So it is not that we are not aware of what we need to do, because there is so much in our potentiality, so much potentiality to be happy, to be whole, to be spiritual, to change, to be truthful, to love. All these things can be manifest. And quantum physics, quantum worldview is giving us the key to manifestation. We truly have a science of manifestation today. You want to love? I'll show you how to manifest love. You want to be fair? You want to be rich in the new way? Rich is now defined not as materially rich, but you want to feel abundant, that you have enough richness. That's what quantum physics can teach you. That's what quantum worldview can enable you to do. So it's a worldview that will transform how humans live. It's just a fantastic new way of thinking, living, and making one's living. That all can be integrated for the first time in human history.